Black and white sports supporters. Well, my goodness. We got a little situation here involving Marina Mabrey and her trying to talk her way out of the position she is in with Indiana Fever fans, with Caitlin Clark fans. We all remember the heinous act, June 17th.
Marina Mabrey tried to justify her harsh criticism of Caitlin Clark, but her comments just fell like a bomb. She expressed apologies, but her explanation was unexpected, which instantly incited indignation and confirmed suspicions of a more serious issue within the league. Fans are challenging everything, not just exploding. Her feeble attempt to retract the filthy hit instead of expressing sincere regret merely revealed a reality that was even more unsettling than the foul itself. It seemed like a well-planned falsehood intended to divert, but all it did was increase the rage. There was no apology for this. It was a weak defense, a rationalization that showed a total lack of comprehension or compassion. The deafening hush that followed her statement meant that any leftover goodwill she might have hoped for was ended.
As Caitlin Clark's enforcer, but we all remember what really, the one that really caught everybody off guard was the vicious slam into Caitlin Clark by Marina Mabrey during this game. Right here, let me just show it.
I mean, is that display?
Now watch Marina come in. Boom! Viciously slams her to the ground. All right, we all remember it. And this was a big story. When this happened, the fallout lasted days and days.
We all witnessed the vicious, unprovoked slam that Marina Mabrey delivered to Caitlin Clark on June 17th, 2025, between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, sending shockwaves through the WNBA. It wasn't just a hard foul, it was a deliberate, aggressive act that many immediately labeled as thuggery far beyond the bounds of competitive play. The raw footage captured the brutality, showing Clark hitting the ground hard, a moment that instantly went viral and ignited a firestorm of controversy across social media. This wasn't just a minor bump, it was a clear message delivered with intent, permanently changing the perception of Ma's game. The replay still makes many recoil in shock.
Cuts off certain opportunities, and what opportunities should every player in the league really want? They should want to go play for the Indiana Fever, because there's going to be a lot of collateral and ancillary benefits that come from that monetarily, right? We all seen what Sophie Cunningham, the level up she has taken. She's probably considered a top 5 branded player in the league. Maybe some could argue top 3. And a lot of that is because she played.
The WNBA needed positive momentum, and this kind of behavior was a major setback for a league aiming for mainstream attention. The incident overshadowed impressive performances and instead highlighted a contentious, aggressive side of the competition that many fans found off-putting. It wasn't just a game. It was a flashpoint, raising serious questions about player conduct and the league's ability to control increasingly personal rivalries. The immediate fallout from that brutal play lasted for days, dominating sports headlines and fueling intense debate across all platforms.
In doing so, she makes a comment that, right, wrong, or indifferent, rubbed me the wrong way. It was like, yeah, I regret doing it, but I did it because Caitlin Clark was punking us. And in case you don't understand what that means, Caitlin Clark was putting foot to ass on a basketball court. And Mabrey was frustrated, yada, yada, yada. No. I'm going to go back to what I said last year. Just because you're getting cooked on a basketball court doesn't justify full-on thuggery on the court.
Now, fast forward to Marina today. Mabrey has finally spoken up, sharing her thoughts on what she did on that terrible day. After months of criticism, she made an apparent conciliatory move by attempting to accept some responsibility. But in doing so, She made a remark that instantly offended a lot of people and undermined the seeming sincerity of her apologies. Her remarks, which were meant to diffuse the debate, actually fueled the flames and exposed a viewpoint that largely misinterpreted the outcry. In that instance, a chance for sincere reconciliation was totally lost in favor of protective posture that only served to damage her reputation. The excitement anticipating her remarks swiftly degenerated into a general sense of disappointment.
Caitlyn, she feels bad because it pumped up the crowd and they got the shit kicked out of them over it. They basically booed the team, the Connecticut Sun, off the court. But then she justifies her actions in Unrivaled. It's really weird how this league is full of players. I mean, I saw the incident the other day in Unrivaled. It's just uncalled for. It's uncalled for, and these women.
Her precise remarks. Yeah, I regret doing it, but I did it because Caitlin Clark was punching us, were what caused fans to erupt. This startling explanation twisted the story from regret to retaliation, turning her purported apologies into a weak defense. Her admission that she behaved out of annoyance at Clark's dominance in the game exposed a startling lack of maturity and sportsmanship. It's an unethical justification for a dirty hit, suggesting that just because an opponent is playing better, physical force is okay. This fire isn't competitive. It's a risky mentality that jeopardizes players and erodes the essence of the game. The severely poor thinking for the hit was the source of fury, not just the hit itself.
It's just uncalled for. It's uncalled for, and these women try to hide their thuggery and their behavior behind the quote-unquote physicality of women's basketball. Hell, the league. You know what? The league, the WNBA, they're complicit in this too. We've heard Kathy Engelbert try to justify it. Well, it was just the right amount of fun.
For those who are curious, Caitlin is directly affected by punching us in this situation. On the basketball court, Clark completely dominates the Connecticut Sun. She was dominating Ma's team, assisting plays, scoring goals whenever she wanted, and generally putting on a clinic. This was hardly a call for thuggery, rather it was just basketball genius. Fair play and competitive integrity are fundamentally misunderstood when an opponent's better play is used as justification for a risky retaliatory foul. It presents an image of a player who can't handle losing and turns to cheap shots instead of improving her own skills. This distorted viewpoint draws attention to an unsettling entitlement and the idea that competence should be met with aggression.
Just be honest. I think the league enjoys the Mabrey situation and the Angel Reese situation and Diamond DeShields, all these physical, hard interactions on Caitlin Clark. I think the league loves it because I think the league is so confused about attention, as in the league's never had any until Caitlin showed up, that they're like, oh, this is driving social media. Fantastic. And it's like, for long-term viability, is it? Fantastic.
To be clear, let's be clear. Full-on thuggery is never justified merely because you're getting thrashed on a basketball court. While losing tactfully is a part of sports, using risky physical force is not. Ma creates a risky precedent by attempting to justify her behavior by stating that she was frustrated by being outperformed, implying that dirty moves are appropriate reactions to exceptional talent. This is a slippery slope that jeopardizes the fundamental principles of athlete safety and fair competition. It teaches younger players that you may use aggression if you can't defeat them in a fair game, which is exactly the opposite message the WNBA ought to be conveying. No amount of annoyance, justifications, or malevolent intent. In addition to the incident, Marina Mabrey is known for acting aggressively on the court, which makes her most recent remarks even more offensive. This isn't a singular occurrence or a transient emotional breakdown. Her reputation as a player who frequently engages in excessive aggression was further cemented when she was recently involved in another noteworthy altercation in the league that is unmatched. This pattern of conduct points to a more serious problem than a passing lapse in judgment. Given her past, it is challenging to believe that any expressions of sorrow are sincere, particularly when she uses combative language to defend her previous behavior. Her actions' regularity reveals a lot about how she approaches sports that are competitive. Mabrey attempted to distinguish between her acts in a recent interview that was purportedly on Sue Bird's podcast, saying, "I know when I went too far with things, like, for example, the Caitlyn thing. That was too far. The little scuffle between me and Shog that was perfect because it just enough that it fueled me and the team," she said, applauding another unrivaled event, quickly contradicting herself. This strange distinction exposes a selective view of proper behavior, where going too far is determined only by unfavorable public opinion rather than by the act's intrinsic hazard or lack of sportsmanship. It is self-serving. Storyline intended to control impression rather than admit actual misconduct. The most damaging admission from Ma's interview is that she didn't feel bad about the hit on Caitlin Clark because she put another player in danger or behaved impolitely. Rather, she was upset because it turned the audience against them and caused the Connecticut Sun to lose their cool on the scoreboard. They were booed off the court, and that was her true regret. Not the savagery of the foul, but the detrimental effect on her team. This is not regret. It's a premeditated response to loss and public criticism. It says a lot about a player who values game results and exterior appearances more than sincere compassion or moral behavior on the court. The way that certain players in this league appear to conceal their thuggish and unsportsmanlike conduct behind the quote-unquote roughness of women's basketball is very unnerving. Competitive physicality and downright dirty play are two very different things, and many people often cross this line with no apparent consequences. Players are able to rationalize risky behavior thanks to this easy redefinition, which blurs moral lines and normalizes aggression above what is appropriate in any sport. Players like Mabrey can avoid criticism because of the narrative, which encourages careless behavior, by making reference to the game's purported roughness. To guarantee player safety and fair play, this linguistic shield needs to be taken down. It seems that the WNBA is complicit in this terrible trend. Instead of denouncing blatant acts of violence, Commissioner Kathy Angelbert has tried to defend these instances by arguing that they are a necessary component of the competitive character of the game. This official endorsement, or at least a lack of firm denouncement, sends a clear message to players that such actions might be tolerated or even seen as exciting. When the league's top brass doesn't set a firm boundary on risky behavior, it unintentionally putting an immediate aggressive spark ahead of the sport's long-term viability and reputation. This viewpoint is poisonous and inappropriate for a professional basketball setting. Even season watchers can tell the difference since they grew up during the NBA's more physical era in the 1980s and 1990s, when hard fouls were frequent. Even while there were fierce rivalries and hard shots, a lot of what we see now seems far more personal, malevolent, and unrelated to the game itself. It's more than just aggressive competition. It frequently veers into the territory of deliberate hurt and disrespect, leaving a glaring gap in moral character between people. This isn't your typical grit. It's something more sinister, focused, and essentially less respectable than the physicality of earlier times. The underlying respect that once restrained violence appears to be absent from the contemporary atmosphere. When people commit such egregious crimes, it damages the WNBA's reputation, alienates potential fans, and erodes public confidence. Many people have expressed their dissatisfaction by saying, "I really don't want to watch anymore until the league cleans itself up." This is more than a handful of angry voices. The league's rising popularity is in danger due to this growing discontent. The WNBA must deal with these problems directly if it hopes to keep and grow its audience, or else it runs the risk of losing precisely the fan base that Caitlin Clark has elevated. Repeated dishonest acts have a negative visual impact and drive away casual viewers looking for real, talented competition. Surprisingly, There is a compelling case to be made that the WNBA genuinely takes pleasure in these intensely physical and frequently filthy encounters with Caitlin Clark. The league, which has long sought publicity, appears to be so bewildered by its newfound prominence that it welcomes any social media moment, regardless of its potential drawbacks. They may think that the Diamond to Shields altercation, the Kennedy Carter hip check, or the Mabrey issue are all excellent opportunities for interaction. This opportunistic approach ignores the important reality that a healthy, successful star, rather than a player who is frequently called for risky fouls, is what is necessary for long-term sustainability. They are putting viral moments ahead of player safety and long-term fan engagement. There are serious problems with this strategy for long-term sustainability. Are league officials too blind to see that Caitlin Clark's enormous fan base wants to watch her show off her amazing talent by scoring 32 points and dishing out 14 assists every game? They don't want to watch her get hurt all the time or even miss much of a season because of dirty play. Such a result would be disastrous for the league's expansion and momentum, reducing the appeal that has attracted hitherto unheard-of viewership. Fairness isn't the only reason to safeguard their top talent. It's a wise business move, preserving the WNBA's popularity and longevity for many years to come. Oh, she was punching us, so, I was mad, and I threw a hissy fit, is just not a good enough justification. It's a really immature and unprofessional excuse for risky behavior. Despite their fury, professional sportsmen are supposed to remain composed and follow the rules. It's not a playground here. Since it's a professional league, decisions have an impact on player safety as well as the league's standing. For it shows a deep-seated lack of control and a failure to accept responsibility for one's own conduct to frame a purposeful fall as an emotional outburst brought on by an opponent's skill. This level of athletics does not tolerate such behavior. To be honest, there are some players in the league whose actions and subsequent offenses utterly ignore others. It is hard to condone or respect their approach to the game given the frequent instances of thuggery and the absence of sincere regret. It becomes an issue of character, sportsmanship, and plain decency rather than competitive rivalry. This goes beyond a single infraction. It concerns a mindset and a pattern of behavior that compromises the legitimacy of professional basketball. And they have officially reached the limit of their tolerance for such behavior. In the end, Marina Mabrey's retraction of her derogatory remarks against Caitlin Clark revealed more than just her own fallacious logic. It revealed the disturbing undercurrent that exists among the WNBA. Her justification for punching us, along with the league's seeming acceptance of such violence, exposes a perilous culture that puts staged spectacle ahead of player safety and true sportsmanship. The integrity of the game and the safety of its top players will continue to be in jeopardy until the WNBA categorically denounces such behavior and holds players genuinely accountable instead of permitting weak excuses, alienating the very fans who are finally paying attention.